What if the monsters your parents warned you about weren't hiding under your bed, but standing right behind you in the grocery store, smiling and offering you candy? At the very beginning of the movie, we're dropped straight into the middle of a slideshow presentation. Kids are seated, eyes wide, as a mysterious voice walks them through a terrifying truth. Witches are not fairy tales. They are not Halloween costumes. They are real. They walk among us, and they have one singular obsession: destroying every child they can find. But here's what makes this opening so gripping. The voice narrating all of this isn't a professor, isn't a ghost, isn't some ancient wise man. It's a child, a boy who has lived through something so extraordinary, so terrifying, that he's made it his life's mission to warn others. And just like that, we're transported back in time. Back to 1968. Back to where it all began. We are introduced to our hero, an 8-year-old boy living what should be a perfectly ordinary childhood in the American South. But life, as it so often does, delivers a cruel blow without warning. Both of his parents are killed in a car accident. Just like that, gone. The boy is left behind, grief-stricken and hollowed out, and he's sent to live with his grandmother in Demopolis, Alabama. Now, Grandma isn't just any grandmother. From the moment we meet her, you sense there is something extraordinary about this woman. She's warm, she's wise, and she carries a kind of quiet strength that tells you she's seen things most people would refuse to believe. But right now, the boy doesn't care about any of that. He's been placed in his late mother's childhood bedroom, surrounded by her old belongings, her photographs, her memories. And instead of comfort, all he feels is the crushing weight of her absence. Grandma tries everything. She cooks for him. She coaxes him. She sits with him. But the boy won't budge. He refuses to eat. He refuses to play. He refuses to let himself feel anything other than the grief that has wrapped itself around him like a fog. He watches the other neighborhood kids from the window, a ghost in his own life. Then comes a moment that quietly shifts everything. Grandma sits him down, not for empty reassurances, not for platitudes, but for a real, honest conversation. She tells him that sometimes, the things that shatter us aren't punishments. They're part of a plan we can't yet see. His mother didn't die for nothing. God had a bigger purpose for her. It's not a perfect answer. It's not supposed to be, but it's enough. The boy eats some cornbread. A small thing. But cornbread has never felt more significant. And just like that, slowly, painfully, he starts to come back to life. The turning point comes when Grandma gives him a pet mouse. He names her Daisy. And if you think a mouse is an odd comfort for a grieving child, just wait. Because Daisy is going to become one of the most important characters in this entire story. Over the following days, the boy pours his energy into Daisy. He teaches her tricks. He builds her routines. He starts laughing again. He starts dancing with Grandma. The house fills with life once more. And just when you think this might be a quiet, gentle story about healing, a woman appears outside the house. Watching. She doesn't do anything. She doesn't knock. She just stands there. And something about her feels deeply, inexplicably wrong. Then Grandma develops a cough. A violent, jarring cough that seems to come from nowhere. And as any good thriller will tell you, nothing in storytelling is ever a coincidence. The next day, Grandma takes the boy to the market. He heads off to find nails. The good, safe nails Grandma insisted on, when he finds himself approached by a stranger. It's the same woman who was watching the house. She's impeccably dressed, perfectly polished, and she's holding out a piece of candy with a smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. The boy hesitates, and then he notices something that turns his blood cold. A snake, slithering out of her sleeve. She assures him it's harmless. She's calm, practiced, patient, like she's done this before. Many times. Grandma appears, still coughing, and the boy tries to pull her away. He tries to explain. But she's too distracted to piece it together in the moment, and they leave the store without fully addressing what just happened. But at home, the conversation changes everything. Grandma asks the boy a series of careful, pointed questions about the woman. Her hands, her shoes, her nose, her hair. And after each answer, Grandma's expression shifts, not into fear, exactly, but into a kind of grim recognition. Then she tells him the truth. That woman in the store was a witch. And Grandma knows this not from books, not from stories, but because she watched it happen to her best friend when they were children. Her friend took candy from a strange woman one afternoon. The very next day, she was gone. In her place, a chicken roamed the yard. Grandma told everyone. Nobody believed her. So every single day, she would go and visit the chicken, knowing that it was her friend trapped inside. And her friend never came back. Let that sink in for a moment. A little girl, transformed into a chicken, and no one believed the person who tried to save her. Now Grandma springs into action. She leads the boy to a locked closet that turns out to be her own private arsenal. Ancient books, healing herbs, mysterious elixirs, a crystal she consults for guidance. This woman has clearly been preparing for something like this for a very long time. After a tense moment with the crystal, she announces that they need to leave immediately. Staying home isn't safe. But here's where Grandma's logic takes a brilliantly unexpected turn. Witches, she explains, prey on the poor and the vulnerable. The safest place they could possibly be? A high-end hotel packed with wealthy people. Because, as Grandma reasons with absolute certainty, witches would never go near that many rich white folks. And so they check into the most luxurious hotel they can find. As Grandma checks in at the front desk, the boy notices a kid his age, a boy named Bruno, being completely ignored by his cold, dismissive mother. Bruno catches his eye. The boy waves. A small moment. But remember it, because Bruno is about to become very, very important. Meanwhile, Grandma explains the full picture. Witches aren't just scattered individuals acting on their own. They're organized, coordinated. There is a coven in every city, in every country, and all of them answer to one ruler. The Grand High Witch. The most powerful, most dangerous, most calculating witch alive. That night, Grandma's cough worsens. She teaches the boy the telltale signs of a witch in disguise. Thick makeup hiding unusual features, large nostrils, gloves to conceal clawed hands, heels to disguise deformed feet, and wigs covering completely bald heads. These creatures have perfected the art of blending in. They look like your neighbor, your teacher, the kind stranger at the store. Grandma assures him that they're safe. Nobody knows they're here. She's wrong. Because at that very moment, a cat, named Hades, belonging to the newly arrived guests, is already slinking toward a window, peering in, before darting back down to report what it has seen. The next morning, Grandma tells the boy to enjoy the hotel and keep himself entertained. He eventually wanders toward a room that appears to be hosting a children's charity meeting. Before he can step inside, Bruno materializes beside him, chocolate on his mind, as always. A lady promised him 6 whole bars, and Bruno is absolutely not passing that up. Bruno's mother drags him away before he can go in. But the boy slips inside alone to practice mouse training with Daisy. He's barely settled when the doors swing open. Mr. Stringer, the hotel manager, leads a large group of women inside, and then out again, locking the door from within. The boy dives beneath the stage, heart hammering. What follows is one of the most jaw-dropping scenes in the film. The women begin removing their disguises. Wigs, gloves, shoes. What was once a room full of polished, elegant ladies becomes something out of a nightmare. Twisted faces, claws, deformed feet, wild eyes. These are the witches. The entire coven, assembled right here in this hotel. And the Grand High Witch steps forward to speak. She's furious. Her coven has been failing to find and eliminate enough children, and she has zero tolerance for failure. When one witch dares question her methods, she doesn't just silence her. She destroys her. Right there, in front of everyone, as a reminder of who's in charge. Then the Grand High Witch lays out her master plan, and it's terrifyingly brilliant in its simplicity. Every witch in the country will open a candy store. Not just any candy, the finest, most irresistible candy imaginable. But hidden inside every piece will be a potion. A formula she's developed called Formula 86, the mouse maker. Any child who eats it will transform into a mouse. And a mouse, as the Grand High Witch notes with cold satisfaction, is very easy to exterminate. To prove it works, she calls in her test subject, Bruno. Right on cue, Bruno stumbles in, eyes fixed on the promised chocolate. He's handed his 6 bars. He starts eating. And then, he starts convulsing, shaking, shrinking. The witches watch in delight as Bruno transforms into a tiny brown mouse right before their eyes. The Grand High Witch orders the coven to squash him. Chaos erupts. Bruno bolts. And inside the air vent, Daisy, who, in one of the film's most electrifying reveals, can now speak, vows to help him. She drags Bruno to safety in their hiding spot. But in doing so, she's accidentally led the Grand High Witch right to the boy. The witch tears back the stage. She finds nothing, but she can smell him. She knows. Before she can act on it, Bruno reappears demanding his chocolate. And in the momentary distraction, the boy bolts into the vent. But the Grand High Witch tracks him. She reaches inside with unnaturally long, elongated arms that stretch like something from a nightmare, and drags him out. The boy clamps his mouth shut, refuses to swallow. But the Grand High Witch is one step ahead. She forces the serum directly into his ear. And just like that, he's a mouse. With Daisy and Bruno at his side, the boy makes a desperate run for it. They tear through the vents, the Grand High Witch's claws swiping after them until they get mangled in a fan blade. The mice escape, and now Daisy reveals the final piece of her own story. She wasn't always a mouse. A year before, she ran away from an orphanage, accepted candy from a stranger, and was transformed. Her real name isn't Daisy. It's Mary. She's been a mouse for a year, and she never stopped hoping she could do something about it. Together, this unlikely trio, a boy turned mouse, a girl turned mouse, and the boy who got transformed trying to eat chocolate, make their way back to Grandma. Getting there is no small feat. There's a maid. There's an exterminator on the way. There's a hotel full of people who would not react kindly to mice running through the corridors. But they manage it, climbing all the way up to Grandma's door and ringing the bell. When the boy finally speaks and Grandma hears his voice. Tiny, mouse-pitched, but unmistakably her grandson. The scene is heartbreaking. She had no idea. She thought he was safe. And now here he is, a mouse, sitting in her palm, telling her everything. She listens to all of it. The plan, the candy stores, Formula 86. And her mind immediately starts working. If she could get her hands on a sample of the potion, she might be able to reverse engineer a cure. And if she could figure out a cure, she could save them all. That night, from their balcony overlooking the Grand High Witch's room below, Grandma and the boy watch closely. They see the witch store a vial of the potion inside an ice bucket. They form a plan. While the witches are at dinner, Grandma will lower the boy down to the room below in a small knitted pouch. He'll steal the potion. They'll slip back up before anyone notices. The execution is terrifyingly tense. The boy drops into the room, scales the furniture, gets his hands on the vial. And then the Grand High Witch walks back in. He freezes. He hides. He waits through a conversation that makes his blood run cold as she counts her money and speaks openly about her plans. Then, just as Grandma starts pulling the pouch back up, the Grand High Witch stops it. She stares. She senses something. She's almost remembering where she's seen Grandma before. And then Mr. Stringer knocks on the door with a cat carrier for Hades, breaking her concentration entirely. Grandma pulls the boy to safety. Back in their room, Grandma works tirelessly trying to reverse the potion. But there's a devastating discovery. Formula 86 doesn't work in reverse. It's permanent. The children will never be human again. For a moment, the weight of that lands. Grandma cries. She's failed them. She couldn't fix it. But the boy? He doesn't fall apart. He sits with it. And then he looks at Grandma and asks, simply, quietly, will you still take care of me? Even like this? She promises him. Always. No matter what he looks like. And then Mary, Daisy, speaks up. They can still stop the Grand High Witch. They can still save the children of the world from this fate. They just need to think. The boy has a plan. The Grand High Witch and her entire coven are scheduled to have dinner together. The hotel special tonight. Pea soup. Famously bland. No garlic. No flavoring. The Grand High Witch specifically requested that. Which means it would be very, very easy to slip something extra into it without anyone noticing. Like, say, an entire vial of Formula 86. The mission is set. Grandma smuggles the mice into the kitchen vents. The boy makes his way into the kitchen, heart hammering, and empties the full vial into the giant pot of pea soup just before it's served. And then a chef spots him. The kitchen erupts. The mice scatter. An exterminator is called. Meanwhile, Grandma is pulled aside by Mr. Stringer, who's heard rumors of mice in the hotel. She doesn't flinch. She turns it around on him, pointing out the rat traps his own staff laid all over her room. And suddenly he's offering her the finest table in the restaurant just to keep her quiet. She takes a seat near the kitchen instead. Best view in the house. The witches are served their soup. The Grand High Witch is about to take her first sip when she spots Grandma across the room. She rises. She approaches. She remembers now. This is the girl who saw her turn a child into a chicken all those decades ago. And she taunts her. Tells her she loved it. Every second of it. But then, a sound. A scream. One of the coven witches starts writhing. Then another. And another. One by one, the perfectly disguised women at the table begin convulsing, shrinking, transforming into hideous rats right in front of a dining room full of horrified hotel guests. The restaurant descends into absolute pandemonium. And in the chaos, the boy sees his moment. He darts forward, snatches the Grand High Witch's room key right from her pocket, and the mice vanish into the madness. In room 666, Grandma and the mice find a treasure beyond anything they imagined. Case after case of Formula 86, enough to wipe out children across the entire world. They start gathering everything. But some bottles fall under the bed, and as the mice go to retrieve them, the Grand High Witch returns. She's still transforming. Still powerful. And she's furious. She threatens Grandma in explicit, bone-chilling detail. But before she can act, the mice snap every mousetrap in the room onto her feet. They force her down, and then they make her swallow her own formula. The Grand High Witch, the most feared creature in the world, transforms into a hideous, deformed rat. Grandma traps her inside a glass container. It's over. The boy searches through what's left of the witch's belongings and finds something extraordinary. The key to her trunk. Inside, all the money she'd been stockpiling to fund her global operation. And a book. A complete book listing the names and locations of every single witch alive in the world. They have everything they need. On their way out, Grandma slips onto the balcony and releases Hades from his carrier, a small act of kindness for the cat. What she doesn't see is Hades returning to the room, knocking the books off the glass container, and releasing the Grand High Witch. We never see what Hades does next, but we never see the Grand High Witch again either. The following morning, Grandma checks out of the hotel in high spirits, tipping every single staff member generously with the witch's stolen money. She tracks down Bruno's parents and gently informs them that their son has been transformed. Bruno, for his part, is too busy eating to contribute much to the conversation. His parents flee in a panic. And Bruno, without a second of hesitation, decides he'd rather stay with Grandma anyway. Back home, life becomes something none of them expected. Wonderful. The mice have an elaborate roller coaster system built for them throughout the house. They race through the rooms, full of laughter and life. The boy tells Grandma something important one afternoon. Even though he's a mouse now, he still feels like himself inside. And Grandma looks at him, really looks at him, and tells him she's never seen anything different. He is still her grandson. He always will be. He asks her, quietly, how long mice live. They both know the answer. A few years at most. They decide not to waste a single one. Christmas comes, and the mice dance with Grandma in the living room. It's warm. It's joyful. It's a little heartbreaking. And it's perfect. Then the slideshow jumps forward through years of adventures. The three of them crisscrossing the country in a trailer with witch hunters, painted on the side, working through that book of names one by one, turning witch after witch into exactly what they deserve to be. And now we're back where we started. The slideshow. The children watching. Our hero, older now, weathered, wise, finishes his story. These kids are the next generation of witch hunters, each with their own section of names to track down. They're young. They're determined. And they are absolutely delighted by the mission in front of them. Grandma looks at the boy. He looks at her. Is he ready? He has never been more ready in his life. And as the children pour out into the world to finish what he started, you realize, this story was never really about witches. It was about a boy who lost everything and found, in the most impossible circumstances, a reason to keep going. A grandmother who kept her promise. A family made not by blood but by survival, by love, and by the shared determination to protect the innocent. Now, if this recap gave you chills, if it made you feel something, do me a favor, smash that subscribe button right now. Because if you're still watching without being subscribed, you're literally missing out on everything this channel puts out. And let's be honest, you clearly have great taste in content. Don't betray that. And drop a comment below. Would you want to be a witch hunter? Or would you secretly want to be turned into a mouse and live your best life in Grandma's house? Let me know. I read every single one.